Good morning, our wonderful people. Thank God we did not have any technical issues today.
Thank God. Oh
That
my God.
one from last week was a total knockout. It was a total knockout, but of course, we persevered and we continued to do what we needed to do as mothers. We always make things happen. You can cook a whole pot of soup, you try to put it in the fridge and it falls to the ground. You know how to keep it moving because your
Yeah.
children will have to eat.
Mhm.
All right, so welcome to the program. We're happy to have you here today, which is September the 23rd of 2023. We are definitely happy to be um, in the Ember month. So welcome to the program. As usual, help us to share and like and distribute. What is all those fancy words? Share, like, subscribe. Keep hitting the like button. We heard that if you keep hitting the like buttons or while we are on, that it helps with the algorithm. So please help us to do that. Thank you and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Sister Mona. Thank you, our viewers. And if you're seeing this video for the first time, please, you have stumbled on a very important video. Share, subscribe, like, do everything. My sister is going to pull up a video so that while we are sharing, that video will come just so that we don't just keep quiet while sharing. So while the video is playing in the background, we'll be sharing. My name is Ekwi. I live in Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you so much. We are winning. We are winning. So keep doing what you're doing. I'm just waiting for Sister Mona to pull up. Thank you.
To pay significant reparations to. Now, this is a really interesting story because he is backing the growing calls for descendants of slave traders from the UK to pay significant reparations to right historical wrongs. He's demanding that those involved in the transatlantic slave trade be posthumously charged for crimes against humanity.
This is a big topic at the moment. It's being discussed around the world. Ghanaian President Mohamed Irfan Ali joins us live now from New York, where he's going to be addressing world leaders at the UN General Assembly on this subject later today. So we've got in early with you. OK, let me ask you a question, Mr. President, on behalf of all of our viewers who would be covered by this. Why should somebody who maybe had an ancestor 7 or 8 generations ago, long before they were a twinkle in their great-great-great-great-grandparents' eye, why should they have to pay now for what an ancient ancestor did? Or why should they apologize for what an ancestor did centuries ago? Why do they still carry that burden?
Oh, it's not a burden at all. You are one of the beneficiaries of that slave trade. So this is not a burden. You should be concerned and you should pay because you today are still benefiting from the greatest indignity to a human being, and that is the slave trade. And not only did you benefit during the slave trade and your country developed, but look at what it caused the developing world. During slavery, resources was used to build your country, build up your capacity. You were able to then become competitive. You were able to invest in mechanization, and developing countries like ours were left behind. So you should be very concerned because you are a prime beneficiary of the exploits of slavery.
So put a figure on it, please, because it always comes down to the bottom line. How much should an individual taxpayer in a country like the UK be signing a check to a country like yours, Ghana?
Well, it's easy to calculate. We can use the time value of money. You can look at the period of slavery and the contribution not the contribution, the extraction of wealth from countries like ours and how it was utilized to build your society, build your country, create wealth in your country, and then add the time value of money, and you will get the value. There's a lot of research paper on this. A lot of universities would have done paper on this. There's enough literature to tell us what that value is. But I want to say that it is not only the value, it is a loss of time. It is a loss of competitiveness. It is a loss of human dignity. It is a loss of our education system. It is the culture that we lost. It is all of this indignity that surrounded slavery that we must consider.
I just wonder, people will be wondering what, you explain that there are calculations, but are you able to say in what measure that would be? I mean, are we talking billions, millions? What would you expect the payout to be, and over what period of time?
Well, this year in Guyana, we commemorate the 200th anniversary of the Demerara Rebellion. And it took 200 years to get an apology from one of the families. I don't believe that you would want us to wait 200 years for reparative justice and for us to take this conversation forward. CARICOM would have set out a 10-point plan on what should constitute reparative justice and what should constitute reparation. And the calculation goes into billions for the region.
How far back, though, do we have to go on this? Because you make the point, we're talking exclusively here about Western imperialistic slavery, to summarize it. But almost every civilization on the planet owes its existence and its prosperity almost always to crimes in the past, be they aggressive wars, be they different forms of slavery involving different movements of population. You can go right back to the Greeks and the Romans. Why just target one particular era in history? Some would say that's the arguments of political convenience. It's a handy handle to hang your argument on.
I think you're doing a great injustice to compare slavery with any other of the historical facts that you're mentioning.
I was including other forms of slavery. No, but I was including other examples of slavery as well.
To the indignity that slavery brought to people, that is the first thing. And I'll give you an example. Coming on to your program a few moments ago, you were speaking about net zero and climate justice. We are speaking about, the world is speaking today about climate justice and compensation and how we address the issues of climate change. And this is the problem. We live in a very unjust society. We condemn completely the war in Ukraine. But if you look at the mobilization of resources in the war in Ukraine, in 2 years, you have mobilized more support for Ukraine than we have mobilized for Haiti for 60 years. Yep. You have mobilized more support for Ukraine than we have mobilized for Palestine for 20 years. You have mobilized more support for Ukraine in just 1.5 years than we mobilized to address the issue of hunger in Africa for 3 years. And that is the type of unjust way we have been dealing with these crises. And we are not going to tolerate the injustice that occurred during slavery to be compared with any other system. Slavery, we all agree, was the greatest injustice ever done to human beings. So we should not ever try to compare this to any other system. There is no other system that has created greater injustice than slavery and indignity to humankind in slavery.
President Ali, I wonder if I can talk to you about another issue. In fact, you raise it there. Guyana discovered crude oil in 2015, and by some accounts, that makes your country the world's fastest growing.
All right, we'll stop this video here. We have this video in its entirety on our Facebook page. Thank you, brother, for standing up to the bully that doesn't understand what the issues are. They have already benefited from what their forefathers did, and they're still benefiting from what they did. So don't get it misconstrued. Don't be confused about who's going to pay for this. You're eating the dividends and you're asking who's going to pay for it. Mumu. Yeah, I will bring it out from my nose and hand it to you. You are enjoying the dividends every month, every week, going into your pocket. You say, no more. I'm not the one who will come and pay for it.
They're so dishonest. I'm telling you, they're so dishonest. But we'll straighten them
brother
up.
did a good job. He did a good job. He was stern. He was direct. He knows what he's talking about. And these
Yes.
people they need to give it up. They need to give it up. Enough of the bullshit. If you guys claim that you're so smart and so strong and so everything, let's go on the equal platform and see who will win. Why are we afraid of that? Right. You have all the resources you have stolen. Even if we say, take all that you have stolen, let's start from now and see who will win. Let's see who will win. Yet, everybody is trying to cover it up, cover it up. You are the smartest. You claim that you're smartest. You sell the news that you're smartest. Let's go and compete.
Yes.
Let's go. What are we waiting for? Man, I don't want to get too hot. Welcome to the program, my people. We are definitely happy to have you here. Just that we want more for our children. Bottom line, that's what this, heat is coming from. We want more for our children. Enough of this shenanigans. So our topic today is arresting the outcome of the fraudulent presidential election. We know that we have a fraudulent president parading around as if we voted him in. We know that the Western world, because every time we turn around, they say, so you have democracy. Why are you removing that person? He's democratic president, democratic president, democratic president that doesn't do anything for his people. So for years, we sat on this sideline and watched them call BS democracy. We watched them call, what is the name for it? Catiscocracy. That's one thing that we learned when we are looking up what type of government we have in Nigeria. And we have been, we've sold that it was a democracy. And our people believe it. So one of the things that we're doing today is to teach you guys about all that thing, because when you're ill-informed, anybody can come from Western world and bring bullshit and tell you it's a democracy, and you will take it because you're ill-informed. So to change something, you need to build a model that will make the existing model better, or actually the existing model obsolete. This is according to Buckminster Fuller. According to Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, those who actively or are willing to pledge allegiance to the detrimental 1999 Constitution are referred as the willing tools. This constitution, responsible for the widespread suffering experienced by the citizens of the Nigerian people, is a product of neo-colonial agenda in Africa. It's a stark reminder of the urgent need to construct a new model that will render the existing one obsolete. We know that true change demands a resolute refusal to compromise on principles and a wholehearted dedication to build a future that prioritizes the well-being and prosperity of all. Just as the quote suggests, to change something, we must create a new model that supersedes the old model, and this process begins with individuals who are willing to stand up for what is right, even in the face of significant challenges. So today we'll continue our enlightenment and mobilization campaign towards the union reconstruction through democracy and a model that will ensure justice, equity, fairness for all, and lastly, a long-term peaceful coexistence for all the ethnic nationalities trapped in this old and shackling colonial model. So it's a no-brainer. We know what has been going on in our neck of the woods. We know that nothing works. We know that we've been sold a lie, and we keep packaging that lie. Last week, we told you the 4 lies in the Nigerian Constitution, and we keep parading that lie as if it's the truth, and our churches and our leaders are there cajoling us instead of speaking out about injustice. By the way, we do want to thank the Anglican bishop that came out this week to, get in line with what we are doing. Yes. So our brother here, Ifechi, said his brother can't even say it. You have to come online and say yourself. What the heck is that? Sistocracy or something like that. Yeah, so please, help us to continue to share, because we want this message to get across. Yes. So while my sister is talking, I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint for today.
Yes, no, pull up the video first. The same video. Arresting the outcome of the fraudulent presidential election, like we said, because you, the people, the ones that are suffering from that outcome, you are the one that owe it to yourself to your children, generations coming after, to say, it's okay. Like last week, we talked about how to say no to what you cannot accept. That thing that you know that, no, this is not okay. You know it's not okay. You are the one that will stand up and say no. But we want to give you proper information so that when you're saying no, you will know why you're saying no. And then why this model, we say this current model is wrong and shouldn't be, why the new one is better than the old one. We want to have an informed change, so you don't just join like, okay, yes, we're going this way, you don't know what they're saying. That's why we come here every Saturday, to get our people informed with accurate information. Thank you. The video is ready. We'll continue after the video.
This special address is directed at the justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. The Supreme Court will eventually have to preside over the outcome of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal hearings concerning the 2023 presidential election. I speak to your lordships on behalf of the peoples of Nigeria who are going to be affected by the outcome of the entire process. Court of Appeal, Supreme Court. I'm a lawyer, 30 years post call, and therefore I'm saying what I'm saying as a friend of the court. Amongst lawyers for the public, we know there's something called amicus curiae. For that petition that will come to the Supreme Court eventually, I'm very conscious of question of sub judice, not discussing what they're doing at the Court of Appeal now. Therefore, coming up front, as a friend of the court, taking advantage of the technologies available. Instead of having to wait for when I am in Nigeria to come to Abuja to file for how we now come to tell the court what we might be able to tell the court, to guide the court on what to do with Nigeria that's on the precipice. That Nigeria that can either go over or be pulled back. The Supreme Court is in an eminent position to do that bit of either pushing it over or pulling it back from collapse into, call it anarchy, call it whatever will happen if the center is not holding anymore. And so your lordships, when that matter eventually comes, we will be meaners on behalf of the peoples of Nigeria under the aegis, cooperating under the aegis of Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. Just in case some of what we have done and said had not come to your attention, we had proposed the deferment of further national elections under the 1999 Constitution on account of the disputations around the legitimacy of that Constitution. We went to court since 2007. Enohoro, Shoyinka, Ojukwu, Sisiono, Bankole, all of them plaintiffs, 10 plaintiffs. Of course, the Federal High Court began to, shift the goalposts all around. But the point was made. The Attorney General of Nigeria joined the issues with us and actually filed a response to indicate that he had no answer, that we were only inviting the court to interpret what is contained in the preamble against the backdrop of what is contained in Decree number 24 of 1999, printed inside the document. And so, NINAS, this address is not just on behalf of the peoples of Nigeria, but more particularly on behalf of the NINAS that has aggregated their grievances across the length and breadth of Nigeria, whether it's the Niger Delta or the Igbo East or the Yoruba West or the Middle Belt where people are being slaughtered. We have aggregated their grievances, posed them as constitutional questions that could be addressed around the table. And so today, we're inviting the Supreme Court of Nigeria to step into its policy jurisdiction. That policy jurisdiction that allows the Supreme Court to look at the law, look at the Constitution for where it is today, and then look beyond into society for what will sustain society. It's only the Supreme Court that has that jurisdiction. The other courts will have to work with whatever the law says for the day. But the Supreme Court has an extraordinary jurisdiction that is called policy jurisdiction. The Supreme Court is in a position to look at everything today coming from this election and all of what has gone wrong, coming from this constitution and all of what has gone wrong, to tell the country that we have to stop now to repair the ship of state. The ship of the Nigerian state must now go back to the harbor for refitting, for repair, for reconfiguration and reconstruction. If we do not return to harbor, that ship will sink. And it will be because those who have been told, who have been invited, who are in a position to arrest the situation are not doing that, have not done that. The executive branch has failed to do this. We invited Obasanjo into this discussion from 1999 when he became president. We spent 5 years trying to guide him on how to do it. But he chose to oppose it, to keep that constitution that has brought us to this sorry state. The National Assembly did not at all pay attention. They were busy sharing money and pretending they were going to amend a constitution that had not been made. We do not blame the judiciary because they just say, unless in this kind of originating invitation from the window of a friend of court, we invite the Supreme Court of Nigeria to help arrest the drift by redirecting Nigeria to transition as a possible settlement framework for what has happened. In the face of the union dispute, in the face of the unspoken issues, the undercurrents, the fractures and fault lines, can we find the courage to say that a transition, the type South Africa did in 1990, to work itself out of the apartheid bind has become necessary? When the late President Gerald Watt, took ill and was unable to carry on, it became something that Dora Akunyele had to do some drama, and eventually National Assembly, after movement of money here and there, now say doctrine of necessity. Can the Supreme Court, within the context of this petition and the appeal that will come from it, can the Supreme Court take charge of the ruler of state in the face of the failure of the executive branch, in the failure of the legislative branch to as representatives of the people, come on the side of the people on this matter? They are sitting with the enemy. They are sitting in confiscation. They are sitting in hijack. They are cooperating to hold the sovereignty of the people and share the blood of the people in the kind of monies we see being shared amongst them, while the people they represent die on the streets, while the young people are trooping in every direction across the world. Some are trekking across the desert. We saw the video where a girl said that it's better for her to die in the desert than to return to that Nigeria. A young girl. She's done her school. No job for her. Your lordships, the body parts of young Nigerians have become steady supply for global human organ market. From Asia to Europe and everywhere in between. What are they running away from? To now submit themselves to where their organs can, on a routine basis.
Sad.
Because of their numbers. What is chasing them from Nigeria? It is within your reach to point out the source of that problem, call it by its name, and make an order that can take Nigeria to finding the solution. That unitary constitution of Nigeria, 1999 edition, which is the latest, as amended, as they will say, your lordships can direct this discussion to what will become the transition, the type that Fr4udul de Klerk had to initiate in South Africa. Ninas will be prepared to come to make further presentations in private, even ahead of if the registrar of the court can extend an invitation, can organize how it can happen, so that all the questions, we have documented framework for how it can be done. Work of 24 years that has traveled around the world, including to the UN Security Council, including to Capitol Hill. You saw it in form of policy when the US put Nigeria on the watch list for ethno-religious killings. You saw it when the UN sent Agnes Callamard, rapporteur mission, to come to find out why everybody was killing everybody in Nigeria. Can we continue to sit aloof and pretend it's not happening? When this ship of state, if it sinks, everybody will be in it, including your lordships. If this ship of state sinks, everybody in it will sink with it. Of course, those who are stealing money will jump into the next aircraft and go and become refugees overseas. But the ones who are not able to jump and run are going to live in the mess that it will leave behind. It is avoidable. The solution is already here. The work has been done. The remedy is already on the table. For every day we postpone this application of this remedy, no less than 5,000 people die across the length and breadth of Nigeria on account of this. That is the cost of keeping this constitution in place. I appeal to you, your lordships, to take a hard look at the situation and invoke your policy jurisdiction to look beyond what was written before and address what could salvage the society. We are prepared to provide the guidance that may be needed at no cost. The lives of millions of people are at stake. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Brother Tony, for all your hard work. We can hear the lamentation of a father wanting more for his children, wanting more for our future, wanting more for our young ones that are dying in the Mediterranean Sea, while people are playing games. They think it's about going to prayer meeting and online meeting and all kinds of things. God help us. This is sad.
It is sad because the solution is on the table already, and we have all it to take to free our people. Not even just our people, but the entire black race. So why will people now not embrace that? See?
It beats me.
We have work to do. I'll allow my sister.
Oh my goodness. Oh, good.
Please continue to help us to share, like, and subscribe. We'll tell you that you're part of this teamwork. The information needs to get to our people. The politicians, the church people, the social influencers are the ones blocking the information. Not that our people don't want to hear. Our people do want to learn. The few of them that we've been able to go through, to go and discuss with, they're always excited, even the youths. But like we said, the church is blocking this information to reach our people, from reaching our people. The politicians, because the church is working for the politicians. Yes, the church collective. We know there are some individuals, small pastors, priests, and everything, but the Church of Nigeria as an institution is holding the indigenous peoples of Africa and the entire Black race down, because church in Africa is business. So they want to continue that business while our people die. That is not mission of Jesus Christ. They do not represent Christ in Africa. I will say it again. The Church of Nigeria does not represent Christ in Africa, because Christ is for liberation. Christ is for the freedom of the people, total emancipation of the people. So there's no freedom you're preaching if you call yourself a church leader and the people are not free. You can see people suffering under colonialism, and you continue to say you're preaching what gospel? Is not preaching, you're doing business. And because of that business you're doing, you don't want this information to get to the people so that they will not be free. You know, when they're free, your business, because your business is running on deceiving the people and manipulating.
Desperation, yes.
Desperation, yes. When the people are suffering, they run to the church, because where can they go? So your business thrives on the suffering of the people. We understand what you're doing. And that's why I don't want this message to get to the people. So my people, continue to share this information to our people. Your groups, they need it so that we can finish up what we've started. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Arresting the outcome of fraudulent presidential election. Of course, as part of our show, we cannot move forward without reminding ourselves that we still, tenants as at the Usman Danfodio estate. And until we take over responsibility of our future and take charge of our spaces, will continue to be ruthlessly controlled, will be used as the minority, and will be used as a conquered territory, and they will never allow you to control your future. So in other words, all you will be doing is lamentation, lamentation, lamentation. So our objective today, we're going to look at why are Africans easy targets. Why are the Africans, like to play victims? They're always, captured in a corner somewhere and they can't get themselves out of the mess. And a lot of them don't want to learn how to get themselves out of the mess, or don't care how to get themselves out of the mess. We are going to also look at Africans need strategies and tactics to end this evil cycle. And when the destiny of the people is at stake, what we need to do. And of course, we cannot end without the spotlight on the wisdom of our ancestors. So today we'll be looking at craftsmanship in Igbo culture. All right, so why are Africans easy targets? Wow, very good question. Why are Africans easy targets? We know that we are so easily distracted. We do not pay attention to our surroundings because, God will do it for us. He will come down from heaven and take out anyone that wants to take us out. And we've been watching that happen, to happen. To our amazement, it has not happened. Every time we are distracted, something comes and knocks us off our, balance. And then we know that we are also distracted by religion, entertainment, as well as social media. And then what about being ill-informed? A lot of people do not know what is going on. They don't want to know what is going on. They cannot comprehend what is going on. Like you will be talking to someone now, they will be telling you about something right in front of you. And these are PhD holders. These are Harvard graduates that we're talking about. So when you are at that level, after Harvard gave you the degrees, I know you guys pay for it. You pay for school fees for 10 years. They gave you that degree, and now you're a Harvard graduate. So at least you went there and the computer was on. When they come out and you're telling them what is happening and what we need to do, is doing this over their head. Ill-informed people, they are unable to take care of anything, take care of responsibility, or even take charge. Rather of getting informed, they will make the choice to endure hardship. And their churches will write them serenity prayers so that they don't have to worry about changing things they cannot change. They will sit there and swallow it. And then what about the victim mentality? So let's take a deeper dive into the ill-informed, the consequences and challenges of being ill-informed, because it's not a matter of calling somebody out, because some people will say, oh, you're arrogant, you're always saying things any kind of way. Well, our children are dying. You're hiding yours here in Houston, Texas, where it's safe, but we have siblings overseas that are trekking through the Mediterranean Sea, like Brother Tony mentioned, becoming constant supply of organs for the international world. And we're here thinking like, oh, you can't say it that way. So ill-informed people typically face a range of challenges and consequences in various aspects of their lives. We know that they make poor decisions. They suffer from poor decision making. We know that their decisions are based on misinformation or incomplete understanding, which now can lead to undesirable outcomes in their personal and professional lives. And we know that it can also affect their financial decision, their health choices, and more, right? Someone is telling you that you have diabetes, do not eat too much rice. And every day you're eating rice thinking God will do it for me. You're on your own, because somebody else have gone ahead of you to study what happens when you consume a lot of carbohydrates. And then there is missed opportunities. Lack of information can result in missed opportunities for personal or professional growth. Ill-informed individual may not recognize or take advantage of that opportunity that could have benefited them. And case in point is what we're doing with Ninas. You guys are missing the opportunity to live a new life. You're missing the opportunity to have a new nation. You're missing the opportunity to build something that you will be happy about, that is sustainable, that will continue to favor your children even when you're not here. When we talk about equity, fairness, and justice, people that go to church don't understand it. We're talking about equity, fairness, and justice. People don't understand it. We are not on the radio shouting. We are not asking you to give us money. We're asking you to understand the strategies of what needs to be done so that we don't miss the opportunities to be our best. Let's look at social and interpersonal issues. Misinformation or ignorance can strain relationships and lead to misunderstanding with others. It can also contribute to social conflict and difficulties in communication. So as we're telling you what Nina's strategies are, some people are there arguing. I know Brother Tony, I spoke to him the other day. Oh, are you here eating angara with me? And then you think you want me to believe that you know what the issues are? My dear, the problems are unending. We cannot continue to be ill-informed. Are we talking about the health risk factors that I mentioned earlier? When you're being told this is what you need to do, you think using olive oil. I know my poor mother suffered from that. We were here buying medications from her. She abandoned it and she was using her olive oil. And she has been gone out of this place for the past 12 years. We will spend money, buy expensive medication, FedEx it back home. When she died, she had a whole pharmacy in her bedroom. She wasn't taking any of her medications. If we are in the church, say, Hasia made this one and he told her to do this one. She lost her life. What about the financial consequences? We know that people overspend. They don't even know when the economy is up and down. They always fall victims to scam because they want to make cash quickly without thinking through about this cash that I'm making quickly, does it make sense? And of course, they suffer a lot of financial hardship. What about the legal issues? In America, they will say that ignorance of the law does not excuse you to the legal consequences. So you pretending that you don't know what is going on in Nigeria, you pretending that you don't know that constitution is a problem, that every time you go to the election and somebody, pledges to uphold that constitution, that you're still in the same quagmire. If you're not understanding that because you think you can waggle your way, wingle and mingle out of it somehow, because that's the only thing that works in Nigeria, email you to a guy the other side, we pick it up from the other side. And you can only do that for so long. It limits your personal growth. You become vulnerable to manipulation. Even when Obi will come and tell you that Nigeria is like a car without engine, because you're so ill-informed, because you're so misinformed and disinformed, you will believe that being obedient will change your life. You will believe that going to election that you know is already fraudulent will lead to a desirable outcome because you're easily manipulated.
You just chant obedient. Once you're just chanting obedient, it will solve the problem.
My dear. All right in front of them, everybody fell face down.
I'm telling you.
And now, the same people, you would think they will be out on the streets making noise, bringing everything down and insisting on righteousness. No, as you're speaking, a lot of them are looking to see if they can go to Canada and run out of Nigeria. They are looking to see the same people that were putting all their money for the obedient. They are looking to waggle away.
Yeah, some that made money from obedient have already used it to relocate. They have gone.
My dear, that's the challenges that we are facing. And then what about stagnation? You will remain the same. You will never change. Nothing makes sense to you. So people are telling you there are ways of doing new things now, right? It used to be before Telegram. You have to go somewhere and pay all this money for somebody to send 2 messages for you. But you can sit in your office right now and send a whole encyclopedia to someone else in a second by a click of a finger. Yes, no. I don't want to go to computer. I'm over here. And people are moving forward.
They would rather use their phone to dance a willow rather than get informed.
With all the information that will improve you as a human being, you would rather use your data to look at nonsense. And then the last but not least, difficulty navigating complex systems. So if you cannot navigate 1 + 1, if Obi can come and trick you into thinking that he's the change that you seek, you know you have a long way to go. Because just looking at him already should have, if you have any kind of wisdom in you, should have told you that no, because when he goes there, he has to uphold the same constitution that is holding me down. That alone, if you are not comprehending that, or the complex system he can navigate.
And he went already to the people, the enemy, to promise them. He went to England, promised them he will keep the constitution that is holding the people down. He went to Sokoto and all the Usman and Fodio generation and descendants, promised them the same thing. Our people are saying it. Yet somewhere in the middle of their brain, they are thinking they will bring something good out of this institution of lies.
It's mind-blowing, my sister. It beats me. All right, let's move forward. Victimology, because we love to play victim. But let's look at the colonial part of it, right? So what about the historical legacy of colonialism? We know that many African nations were left with lasting impacts on their social, economic, and political structure. And the legacy of colonialism left them with exploitative patterns that have contributed to the ongoing challenges. We know that they never left. All they did was change of ownership. So instead of the person doing it right now looking white, they will put your brother in the front so that you wouldn't know they are back in there manipulating the brother. So they always find people that are willing to do their biddings. And then, of course, they contributed to economic inequality. They took all our resources, left us in a dark ages, continue to take all our resources and make us more vulnerable to exploitation and victimization. As we're shouting, people are coming in and stealing resources. In this show, while we are researching for a show, that we saw that a plane can ride in a potopoto. We didn't know it was possible. There's a plane that will run in potopoto and take off. Stealing resources while people are dying. They will go and look everywhere. My sister was everywhere you see war in Nigeria. In Africa, go there, there's a mineral resources. So they will go there and chase away the owners of the land, pay their brothers and sisters to put them in IDP camp and keep them in IDP camp while they are digging down the resources. And then they will tell you terrorists are coming. Terrorism is everywhere, they are coming, whereas they are the terrorists. So they pay these misinformed and ill-informed brothers and sisters for them to be playing that role. And they're the other side bringing some aid as if they are God and Savior of Africa. And then their brothers are on the other side, are busy digging the resources out. What about the geopolitical factors? We know that African geopolitical position has made it a focus of global interest, both for its resources and strategic location, which led to external interference and conflict that disproportionately affect African nations. And then we know about their systemic discrimination. Our brother is it Manema or Mayema, whatever that guy's name is. He will always tell you that Africans are the most hated human being in the whole world. Why are you not hating yourself? Everywhere you go, we are hated because of the way the media will portray us on their TV station. Because whenever you see an African person, they're never doing anything good. You will never see them in mansions. You see them either by the trash can picking dirt, and you see them about to die, and a vulture is waiting for them to die so he can start eating them. Or you will see them shouting, crying on Mediterranean Sea, desperate to live life. That's all that we know. And we know that colonialism contributed to political instability. The lack of access to education and healthcare. They made it impossible for us to have good educational system because they will put corrupt politicians in place that will refuse to pay the teachers, that will refuse to upgrade the infrastructures, that will refuse to do anything that will take us into the future, so that we will remain in darkness while uranium is being shipped for France to have electricity. That will be dying before we are 45, while people in France will retire at 65 and start eating benefits. And then what about their media, which I've already mentioned? They're always making us look like we can't take care of ourselves, like we lack the capacity to take care of ourselves. And of course, last but not least, they are always wanting conflict to continue. That's why, as we're speaking right now, they are saying that only 30% of the weapons sent to Ukraine gets to Ukraine. These criminals are busy distributing these weapons in the areas that they will use it to initiate conflict somewhere. You will be
cause terrorism everywhere, and then
causing terrorism everywhere, claiming there is war in Ukraine. Yeah. And all they're doing is use that war to be spreading wire everywhere.
All over the world.
All over the world. But it's all about the people understanding who is playing this game, who is there controlling. If you know, you will take the Mbagha and use it on him when he shows up.
Exactly.
And then let's look at the ones that we do to ourselves. The first few were the ones that we are suffering from because of what the colonial masters did. But what about ourselves? How are we victimizing ourselves? We always allow people to think it's okay to maltreat us. Brown people are always the one that they will fight for other people. Oh, I went to school with them at Harvard. We're in the same fraternity and all this, whatever nitty they are in. Oh, this and that. They will go and leave their brother and be fighting for somebody else. It's only Black people that will never stand up for their brothers and sisters and forget about anything else. As long as it's not them that is happening to, they will keep it flying. And then their churches will keep us spiritual and emotional rather than thinking critically. Because if you keep praying serenity prayer and then fasting through the week and then turn into bonga fish because you've been fasting and you're not eating and your mouth is dry, yes, God will feel so sorry that he will come and bring you help. And we look at every situation negatively rather than learning and training from it. And that's why we are going to look at our ancestors to see some of the things that they taught us in how to build up endurance, in how to build up tolerance, in how to build up emotional intelligence. Because with their stupid schools, they remove things that make us to become strong people. And then we also refuse to look at our situations to our own value.
They term them that they're demonic. Meanwhile, some they said it was art and culture, but they knew what they were doing. They removed all the sources of, what made our people who they were in the name of one thing. If they don't call it art and culture, they will burn it up and call it demonic. Meanwhile, this were craft work our people diligently did.
It's sad, my sister, but we're going to take it back. And then we also fail to learn from our own mistakes and experiences because we always want God. Like somebody, you will see somebody, every time somebody will do wayo on you, take your things, somebody is always taking something from you. You never will come up with strategy to say, okay, I'm going to meet these criminals. What should I do to make sure they don't take it? No. Or you will take it. In my village, they have this group of people. Anything that happen, they're doing all this, as if Ewuchimo means, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, as if God will come down from heaven to do it for them. And we become unable to empower ourselves through our predicament instead of being weak and limiting ourselves. We just, lament all the time. And we're not checking for the patterns and ask necessary questions to say, like right now we're saying, we not know because every time we turn around, oh, African presidents are corrupt. African presidents are fantastically corrupt. And then what are you? So being able to understand who is doing us and what is doing.
Get to calling a pot black.
Fantastically corrupt, my dear. So they always have names. It's all about we understanding who the criminals are, protect our brothers and sisters, and we are ready to go. We don't have to have the whole world and $10 billion from World Bank, all these criminals. The same World Bank that will come and steal from Africa, now they will come and give us a little aid. Na their international platform, we are giving Africans aid when you're stealing billions and trillions and zillions from Africa, criminals everywhere. So imagine if we get rid of these criminals, we can manage ourselves. Onubu is still in our land. Okra is still in our land. Ogo is still on our land. We don't need to eat hamburger. We don't need to eat garlic. We don't need to eat spaghetti. We can eat what we are eating that kept us healthy because if you don't look at their own food, you see yourself, your shape will change. So as a result, we readily repeat counterproductive patterns, but we know that you cannot control other people, but you can control yourself. So we may not control what these colonial masters are doing, but we can control how we react to what the colonial masters are doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for breaking it down for our people. Continue to help us to continue, because once you it will break the algorithm, and more people will see it, and then their system will automatically take this information and start sharing to more people, and then information will get out there. So we'll look at Africans need strategies and tactics to end the evil cycle. So my sir has shown us how we've been going in circles without looking at the pattern, study oh, this thing, what is happening? My people say that agadi why Adam what does that means? That if an old woman carrying basket, then she falls down, then she gets up again, put the things in on, falls down again. No, she will look into the basket to see, why am I falling? What is it that I'm carrying that is making me to fall? We're talking about re-evaluation, evaluating your process, like what is going on, how am I getting this outcome? Then you re-evaluate what you have been doing, check the patterns, and then see what to do. It's normal with our people, it's not new. So we need strategies, and then we will show you the strategies. We are not going to bring people that we are dead for the longest time and say, come and give us strategies. We have strategies already and tactics to free us. So it is time to take back our power. It is time for Africans to make powerful choices like other nations and civilizations before us. There are people that have done it before us. Evil people did not start today. It's not today that evil started. I was discussing with my sister. I said, right from the time they crucified Jesus Christ on the cross, that's 2,000 years ago. That's the time injustice started.
The Nigerian bandit.
They called him bandits and crucified him. You understand? And it's the Europeans, Romans, that are the same. We're talking of 2,000 years ago. Because when we tell people about the way we study our own Bible, we look in depth into the Bible. We just don't look at it because one pastor is trying to manipulate us with it. No, we try to know what happened before and where we are today. Can you imagine 2,000 years ago? What was the case they brought that they used to crucify him? They had no case against him, but it was a propaganda, lies, manipulation of the people. And then if you read the whole thing, you see that's what they did. And then they just gave you capital punishment. At that time, their own capital punishment was to nail people that they call criminals on the cross, and then kill them. It's the same people doing the same thing. Today, they are using electric chair. He has moved on. Different. If you look at this process, is the same thing that they have been doing over the time. So the evil cycle has been going on, and it's time to end it. So we must begin to own ourselves by owning our decisions and destinies. Like my sister said, don't continue lamentation. What happened though? You be doing as if you're in La La Land. Things are happening in your eyes. You can see them, you can analyze them. But no, you choose not to see. Your brain is closed, your mind is closed, your eyes are closed, everybody is closed, and you're just shouting, No, you have to own yourselves. Own what is happening. See the part you played in it. Then own the decision. Own what you need to do. Nobody is coming from anywhere to come and deliver you. You will deliver yourself. It's time to begin to associate with people that are intellectually strong and resilient. Not people that simple 2 + 2, they can't get it up to 4. Simple thing that just if you critique a problem is in front of you, there's a challenge in front of you. If you look at it and use your God-given brain, you will get a solution. No, but you go into panic attack, and then you throw it away and then move around. Say, let's be waiting. God will deliver us one day. No. Begin to move away and cut away from bad relationships and influence. People that make you not to be the best of yourself. People that when there's a problem, because challenge and problem is part of humanity. It is not start today. But the essence of it is that when there's a problem, you sit on ground and look at the problem, evaluate the problem, and get solution. So begin to move away from people that are not influencing you towards getting the outcome that you want. Stay away from those who enjoy to hurt and steal from you. You can make these decisions. Like my sister said, you might not control others, but you can control yourself. You should be able to put boundaries and say, okay, you know what? I've been with you for 10 years and I have not moved forward for the past 10 years. It's been in circle, evil. So I need to move away. Nothing against you, sorry, but I need to move away from you. Then you identify people that you people think alike. You're going towards the same direction. It's okay. That is the essence of alliance. When you hear Nina's alliance, it's the alliance of all the ethnic nations that say, you know what? We want self-determination. We want liberation. We want to set our people free from this bondage that is upon them. And then we came together and united. That's the meaning of alliance. Stay away from those that are hurting you. You can say, once they're hurting you emotionally, physically, financially, and otherwise, say, okay, you know what? I need to protect myself from you. Set up boundaries that do not put up with things that do not work for you. Things that you know is not working. Stay away from them. Don't stay and say, oh, okay, I'm going to be managing. Let me manage it. No, if it's not working, it's not working. If it's broken, it's broken. Stay away from it. We begin to work towards protecting ourselves and our children and our people. Please, the next slide. Work towards protecting ourselves, our children, and our people. It is our responsibility. You take charge when you understand your responsibility. Taking charge is not in the air. You have to understand, okay, what is my responsibility? Okay, this is it. Then you begin to take up that responsibility. That is how you take charge. You don't take charge by just shouting. No, you understand your responsibility. Begin to do it. Learn to solve problems rather than endure or cope with them. Let's be managing now. Let's be going. We'll see how it will go tomorrow. No, that's not how you were built. You are functioning against the manufacturing manual. The way you are built is when there is a problem, look into the problem and begin to find solution. If you don't have enough information by yourself to solve that problem, look for people that know more than you and form alliance with them. Even if it means one step at a time, one small step at a time. Do everything you can Don't say, I am not able. Whether you're a woman that you are in bondage, or a man that you're in bondage called marriage, or you are a community, or you're a nation, that is how you do. Begin to focus on building yourself. We build ourselves. We earn respect from building ourselves. Even if people refuse to respect you, even if the colonial monsters refuse to respect Africa, it is our responsibility to earn respect for ourselves by building ourselves, by saying, this is who I am. And then you begin to build yourself up and you earn that respect. You command that respect by the way you carry yourself, by the way you act and speak. It is true at individual level. It is true at community level. It is true at national level. And it's true even as Africans. And somebody will say, so what do we do? Because here in this show, we tell you the problems and then we'll give you the solution. We are using this picture. This happened real. You see these two dogs?
Yeah, the other one is Baza Queen and the other one is Ujo Fogana.
You see? We are naming our dogs with our local names too. We are done with bingo and the things that we don't know. Yeah, name your dogs according to your belief pattern and everything going on, so that the dog will be responding to you accordingly. What dog on Dutcha? So, when the destiny of some dogs was at stake, what did they do? These are dogs. So we are saying ordinary dogs, not human beings. What did they do? They became apprehensive. They became very worried. You can look at their eyes. You can see how worried they are. And then they were panting. You see that all opening mouth. Their intelligence kicked in and they formed an alliance between themselves. They said, how are we going to solve this problem? And what did they do? You see, that thing is a barricade. That barricade in front of them is stopping them from moving forward. They don't care whether it's your fence or whatever. That's not how they're saying it. What they're saying is that we want to move to the other side. And this thing that these human beings put in front is stopping us from moving forward. The colonial monsters, to them, human beings are colonial monsters. They're coming to colonize them. They say, you know what? What do we do? They began to dig under. Look at that intelligence. They began to dig a way of escape. My people say that it's only a tree that hears, I will buy you, I will kill you, and then stands there. Living things move away from danger. Living things move away from things that hurt them. Did they succeed? Yes, they did. That's them. If it's not big enough, they will dig it some more until they will get to where they're going. This is natural intelligence. So what of when the destiny of a people is at stake? What will they do? Let's find out. Supreme Court of Nigeria is expected to step outside the law to deliver the society. It's called policy jurisdiction. I told you that in this NINAS, hey, we have learned. I didn't go to law school, but I can sit lawyers down and teach them just because of association with NINAS. Because that's what we're telling our people. You need to know your right. You need to know your legal right. You need to know. If you don't know, go and meet people that know. Get lawyers that do. I'm not talking of the lawyers that use their school fees to eat akara in law school. No. We're talking of the one that actually paid the school fees and went for lecture. Not the one that sat under the mango tree talking to women while lecture was going on. When you mentioned jurisprudence, they say, when did they teach that one? Those that pay their school fees. When they say pay it, not the one that they sent out of class because they didn't pay school fees.
Please continue to help us to share. They are really blocking
the school fees, went to class. They're able to use what they learned in class to apply it in problem solving in the society. These are the things we are talking about. So Supreme Court, you can see in the video that we showed you initially from NINAS, as friend of the court, telling them what to do, because we could see that even the judicial system in Nigeria has gone haywire. They are fallen inside evil forest with 10 demons, and they are roaming about.
That's what happens when you're getting money in Ghana Must Go back from
exactly. You will lose your voice, like those traditional leaders in Yoruba land that Obasanjo was commanding. Edide, sit down, stand up, sit down. Representatives of the gods. Indeed. It's so funny and ridiculous, but it's good for them, because when you dine with criminals, then you have to lose everything that makes you who you are, and they will move you about. So we want to say that 25% requirement for federal capital is non-negotiable. But even that constitution, as terrible as it is, said it clear what that 25% requirement is all about. FCT is not a state. It's not a state. It's Federal Capital Territory, not a state. Otherwise, it should have governor and deputy, not minister.
No kidding.
They should have House of Assembly, reps, and every other thing the other states had, 36 states. It should have it. And the governor and the deputy will not be appointed. They will be elected like others, even when we know that the election is selection. It's not even real. But at least that mago-mago, they will do that mago-mago, and it will go through the mago-mago process. I didn't read the law. We are the people that read the law. And yet you're there calling yourself lawyers and carrying wig, because we can see how your conscience was bought over. They bought you, all of you, and they've been buying all of you. And we are seeing it, Korokoro. You're disgracing yourselves, making your profession useless and like nonsensical of whatever degree that you say you got. Even children will begin to laugh at you. If the Supreme Court decides to set the country on fire by sustaining the fraud of the appeal courts, how will they themselves escape? It's like you enter a house, close the door, put fire inside. How will you escape? Supreme Court? Supreme indeed. The sin and the iniquity of the fathers is about to catch up with the children. The people the children have been hailing as their role models are the ones destroying their destiny. And they're about to expose themselves. They're about to be naked. One man said, if you try to cover this fraud, you are going to be naked yourself. They have been using their children as political tools. Snatch it, grab it, run with it. Snatch it, grab it, run with it. Politics of snatch it, grab it, run with it. And you have finally enthroned, snatch it, grab it, run with it. Hey, clap for yourselves. You have locked yourself in. That's what Inas calls lock jam. You have jammed yourself. They kept our people in election mode to paint a picture of there's democracy in Nigeria. Is that democracy? No, it's not. Those of you that are waiting for Supreme Court, be waiting. We are moving on.
All knows on justice. All ears on justice.
All knows on justice. Since the eye has peered, they peer the anya. Now they use their nose. Maybe they will smell justice. They couldn't see it. Now they want to smell it. Meanwhile, there's so much information that can liberate everyone through Nina's campaign. But the willing tools, the criminal politicians, have been misrepresenting these information and blocking Nina's information from reaching the suffering and trapped masses.
As well as the churches, don't forget, because they have been.
The churches are part of the willing tools now. The willing tools, remember we handled the other time, the willing tools are all the people that are withholding the 1999 Constitution. Whether you are in the church, you're a politician, you are the social influencer, what a political party member, whatever you are, all of you join together saying, yes, 1999 Constitution must continue to stand. you are the willing tools, causing the suffering of the people, especially because they're very ignorant. They didn't know that you are the one putting that pain on them. They're looking for someone else because the church is telling them it's the demons, it's the ancestors, it's the days that is holding their jobs, that is holding their good life. They need to fast some more. They've not fasted enough. They've not done a night vigil. Every night they will keep them awake. They will not sleep. Poor people, from suffering to suffering. You have not eaten. You have not even, you can, at least if you have not eaten and you are sleeping, you can manage. No, you are still awake. The little energy you have, you are shouting ba 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 in the middle of the night. Have you seen this type of wickedness before? The Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS, said it is end of the road for the fraud of 1999. End of the road. You have destroyed yourself. You have locked yourself in by what you have done. And that thing you're doing is the 1999 Constitution that you're pulling at. And that's what we'll show you in that Domino 2. People have been saying, how do we get to Domino 2? That is what is going on. So the election is collapsing and it's hitting on the Constitution because they did that Constitution election based on the Constitution. So if the election is collapsing based on the Constitution,
Fraudulent Constitution,
is going to hit the fraudulent union. That's why I say fraudulent election, we hit on fraudulent Constitution and hit on fraudulent union, and everything will collapse. For those of you that are shouting Biafra this, Ududua this is the process, not what you're doing. That one, you're busy giving some people that you love so much, you're giving them your money, they're eating Uba and Okporoko, and they're dancing. Willow, they'll go to Facebook and dance, and then they'll tell you to sit at home while they're having fun. You keep contributing towards your damnation. And we are here saying, why are you doing this to yourself? Do you hate yourself this much? Just because you're ill-informed. So Ninas is saying all roads lead to logjam and transitioning. So if you look at this thing that we'll put here, this figure here, you can see from down going up. Logjam, because they've told us they have logjam themselves. The next thing is transition. Then we renegotiate the union. Then we reconfigure the union. Then we reconstruct the union. Please take this information. This is how it will go. Anybody jumping inside evil forest telling you the other one that didn't, they're wasting your time. Our eyes are clear where we're going, and this is the pattern it will take. My people say, if you continue not to embrace it, you will just be buying.
And your lack of misinformation or ill information will not change any of these things.
No, it will not. It will not. So we will continue our eyes on the ball. Focus, know where we're going. This pattern is how it's going to go. Some of you say, how will it happen? That's your business. I know when some people read about, they will crucify Jesus Christ on the cross of Calvary, they will say, how will it happen? But it's not how it happened. So these things, work is going on. Like we keep telling you, what you see about Ninas on surface is not the Ninas that is under. That's why we tell you that Ninas is submarine. It's the biggest monster that will swallow all the little monsters.
You're dropping words now. The criminals will start using it next week.
Let them keep copying. As they're copying wrongly, they will destroy themselves. Like you read in the Bible, when God gave Moses the rod, he dropped the rod. The rod turned into a monster. That snake. The magicians, the Egyptian magicians made their own little monsters, a little snake. What happened? The big monster, the divine monster, the Moses monster, swallowed the other little monsters, and all of them were destroyed. That is where we're going with this, because movement of the people is the people's power. We are moving as a people. We are not organization. We are not that's not what it is. It's the people moving. Ninas is people's movements. The indigenous peoples, the owners of the land, the main monster that the colonial monsters have been afraid of. We are coming, and we are not appealing to people. We are not begging you to join. Because, like we say Igwe that mass is power. However, that Igwe is not Igwe Atoro. It's not Igwefi. It's not Igwe cow. It's not Igwe non-entity. So when we talk of mass mobilization, we are not talking about mass mobilization of ill-informed people, because you only dilute the gunpowder. You cannot be part of what is going on. You will become a burden to us. I remember I was talking to my son the other day. My son said, I'm not going to marry dead wood. I'll be carrying dead wood along. Even people know, even children know, that if you want to do anything, get people that will be sharp. And you don't need a degree. We say it again. You don't need colonial degree to understand what Ninas is saying. All you need is your brain and honesty. That's all.
That's it.
Ninas is not a literate group. No, it is the indigenous people, the natives. We tell you the only way we speak English is because we have different languages. So we have to communicate with English. And we are talking to also the colonial monsters, and they speak English. So we speak English to them. That's the only way we have to use English. So the project is local, very indigenous, very native. It is the native wisdom we are using. We are just passing it in English language. So Ninas is therefore inviting the Supreme Court to invoke its policy jurisdiction to steer Nigeria to an immediate transitional process. Also, how? If they want, or are they going to be, we are looking, will they be noble and accept this invitation? Or they will be like our brother James Ezike called them. He said they are hollow and lacking integrity. They have finished. They are hollow. Because if they are not hollow, we are not even the ones to be telling them this. They ought to know it. Is that not what they studied? Why is Ninas making? Because Ninas is saying there's what we call Ninas 10 interrogatories. It was published by Guardian newspaper on September 23rd, 2022. You go there, that Guardian newspaper, page 23, that nothing will change. Ninas listed the 10 things that will never change for the people, except the 1999 Constitution is dismantled. According to the steps that is already listed in the Constitutional Force Majeure that was done on the 16th December 2020, is already there. So those that say, how do we do it? The steps are already there. It's copy and paste. People like to copy. We have given you what to copy. That means that your copying and pasting has been out of mischief, not because you really want something good. Because if you want something good, it's just a question. Nina's template is there. Carry it and put it. But instead, you'll be there turning left, turning right. So thank you so much. Sorry I took our time to break this aspect so that people understand what they're supposed to be doing.
No, my sister. Thank you so much. So Nina's, like she said, is there for inviting the Supreme Court to invoke its policy jurisdiction to steer Nigeria into an immediate transitioning process. And that's Eban Kaino. I hope nobody is going to distract us with nonsense. Guy here, their nose is on justice, their private party is on justice, you need on justice. This is what we need to do to move forward. And at the end of the day, we are talking about equity, fairness, and justice. I know you guys call yourself Christians, but that 3 words doesn't make any sense to you guys at the end of the day, because you're very dishonest in all your ways. So let's look at the Nina's 5-point proposition. As always, we want to acknowledge the grave constitutional grievances that we raise in the union dispute. We want the express commitment to decommission the imposed 1999 Constitution, because if this does not change, like that interrogatory says, nothing will change for you, my dear. God will not change it. Colonial masters will not change it for you. They were so afraid that Ninas was going to take off that they called your brother P2B to come to 10 Downing for him to go and distract you guys so that you guys will not go with the Ninas way. You go to the election that they know he's not gonna win. Hamburg like this, because people keep telling you guys, it's my turn, oh, it's my turn, oh, it's my turn, oh. He was promised this position, it was his turn, oh. You guys stayed in a place where somebody is shouting on the radio that it's his turn, and think, let's go and be obedient. Let's put all our resources and all gunpowder in one shot. Only for you guys to turn around, the bullet you shot came back and knock you off. And you have nothing to say. So the third one is an express commitment to share for the national election, which you guys went to, and now an illegitimate president is parading around as your president that doesn't care anything about you, that make policies that will adversely affect you guys in a very large magnitude, and he doesn't care. He will take away what is that subsidy without even thinking about how it's going to affect the people. Didn't have anything in place for it, because again, who cares about people that don't care about themselves?
Yeah, when they shout too much, it's okay, I'll bring it back. I take it away. I bring it back. Like, who does that?
Playing with your emotions. And the fourth one is an invitation to the constituent people of Nigeria to work out the modalities for transitional arrangements, including mandate time frame, membership and ancillary matters. And last but not least, announcement of a two-bound, two-stage transitioning process, which shall in the first stage feature multi-regional referendums by which constitutional components shall recommit to or opt out of the Nigerian Union. And in the second, these two terms of union as may be dictated by the outcome of the referendums. So this is what we need to do to move forward. Don't let your church leaders, because they will tell you, oh, the bishop won't allow us to announce this, but they will allow Peter B to come to church and do his election. What is it called?
Even Buhari to come to church with his cap.
Yes, they will allow Buhari to come to church with his cap, all of this. But when you're telling them this is what will save our people, this is what will give us a grant to stand on and start building a sustainable future for our children so that they're no longer dying in the Mediterranean Sea, it doesn't make sense to them, because there is no criminality associated with what Ninas is doing. That's why it's not making sense. And then they have been so dishonest in all their ways that even when you break it down to them, they are still not getting it, because all they're looking is for criminal enterprise that they can join to get whatever they are doing to go on. But if you wait, we know what the outcome will see. Your suffering will continue. Emma Starks told you guys that for the first time, at least we know someone have been saying, yeah, similar to what we've been saying, that your suffering will increase. Things will happen that will not be favorable to you. So the more you stay with this mess, the more your life will be entangled in the Nigerian shenanigan. All right, this is our announcement. We have our sister on Spotify and Clubhouse on a daily basis. She has this 1 minute, very nice 1 minute podcast just to get your brain thinking. So if you have the time, please log in so that you will not only improved, your being ill-informed will at least decrease significantly. At least you know what the issues are. And then, of course, we have Twitter Tuesdays. If not for anything, you have access. Ninas is right. Hashtag Ninas is right. We stand with Nina's transition now. Get your pastors to talk about this freedom that we are speaking about here. Don't let them tell you is the person that is locked up somewhere that is going to bring you freedom. Don't let them convince you that there's a Supreme Court that is coming to bring them freedom. Insist on the Nina strategy. Again, we haven't called you for money. We have not disturbed you. We have not sold you lies. We are not on the radio shouting. We haven't done all these things that you guys were gravitated towards. The people that sold you fake news, pretense, take fake pictures. None of that has happened with Ninas. Go and interrogate. All we want is equity, fairness, and justice for all. For all. So we'll move on with spotlight on the wisdom of our ancestors. And today we are talking about craftsmanship.
Thank you, my sister. Craftsmanship, talking about handmade crafts and tools, are common in ancient Igbo culture, both for males and females, adults and children. We use our hands. The first thing as you're coming in, before any other thing, you are taught how to use your head. Because we believe that akajaja ne manu manu manu. That is, if you use your hand to work, then you'll be able to eat. You get something that you eat. The quality of design and dexterity shown in these, crafts help one to develop certain characters. Built as you're doing those things, certain characters, you begin to develop them. So craftsmanship was part of normal life. Nkanozo, it's not something new. It's not a colonial monsters that brought it to us. No, it's been there from beginning. They might have different names. Of course, we have our local names for them. We produced all our house utensils, gears and tools for daily chores. We produce them by ourselves. Each family at home and everything, we produce them by ourselves. Anything that we feel like, oh, how do I do? So tools and all those mechanical stuff, they're not new to us. We produced them. Of course, you know that Africa is the cradle of civilization. So we produced these things. Source of livelihood and entrepreneurship. Like I told you initially, that as you produce these things, that from there you will make money that will help you to take care of your needs. So it's not new. That idea of business and all that is not new to us. It's ancient. So children are inborn with skills and potentials to perform certain kinds of activities, aptitude. Do you understand? These skills often run in families, kindreds, clans, and communities. Some families are known for producing certain crafts. And when you go, you already know that all of them, once they come, it's not a problem to them. They're able to do it. They're able to understand how to move. And these skills, they use them sometimes to recount history, to recount life experiences, either of the family or the community or the society. These tools, these skills, they use them to tell stories of their achievements. They carve it, the things they have done and everything, they carve these things and you see it, it tells stories. They use this craftsmanship to state their religion, their religious beliefs. We will call it spirituality and relationships, spiritual relationships. That's what we would have added there, spiritual relationships, for our people to understand that spirituality has always been with Ndigo and other people too. So to record strange occurrences, they use their craft to record strange occurrences like epidemics, like colonial invasions, because like we keep saying, our people did not wake up and then started relating with the white man. The white man came and invaded them, took their things. This picture that we have are some of the local crafts that we have. This one is called nkata or basket. You can see that woman doing it. It's a process. You see the next one, you're moving. Sometimes you add colors, sometimes you don't add colors, different designs. And then you see the final product with the man down, carrying the final basket. And they have different shapes, the flat ones, kind of, or abai, different shapes, depending on what they want you to use, different shapes and sizes and patterns. And then you have that one called abunku or ekete, for climbing the tree, the palm tree, for palm wine tappers, for those that want to cut the palm fruit. So you see, they produce this rope by themselves. It wasn't the white man that came and started teaching them how to produce them. So our people did all this. So what are the advantages of developing such skills? These skills help our children to develop emotional intelligence early. They begin early. They don't need to go to get degree before they start. They don't need to go to secondary school before they start. As they are born, they see their parents doing this. They just join. They be part of it. So early enough, the child is beginning to connect to nature.
Mm-hmm. It allows you to make a mistake and learn from your mistake and fix that mistake.
Exactly, by yourself. You see
it in life.
There's this thing you mentioned now. There's this net for the birds. There's a big one that looks like a boot, and there's one that is small. It's two birds. There are people who tell the story of how the other bird said, "Oh, okay, I can do it now. I've learned. I can do it now." And he went and moved on, and then ended up producing the short one and couldn't make it up to the boot one. So they tell that story. So, and when a child is learning also, when the child makes that type of mistake, and I say, okay, you see, this is how you did it, and this is why it turned out this way. So early enough, the child understands that he's in control of the outcome. If she does it this way, this is what is going to come out. If he does it, so nobody is putting anyone down. Okay, they mark you. You have 0.
Oh, yeah, no room for mistakes. Yeah, they keep people anxious. People are on drugs. They are high all the time because you can make mistake. You lose everything.
You lose everything. That wasn't the system we had. If the child makes mistakes, you will learn from his mistakes or her mistakes and then correct it. And you even guide the child into correcting that mistake. You see, the child is really learning from the experience. So you develop a lot of skills. And it has some spiritual, like communication skills that you develop also, because some of this artwork, when they're doing them, they communicate, they have conversation with the artwork, they are speaking to them. So it has some spiritual connotation. You have to, it's painstaking, a lot of diligence, extreme care and precision. Effort and stamina. These are the characters you develop. You begin to develop patience, begin to develop endurance, and the ability to survival skills, business and all that. These things are built in you as you grow. We don't wait and give you akara to be eating akara then until you are now 10 years before you start. You're starting late. As a child, you begin, and your skills that you have, unique to you, will begin to develop as you're moving up. And nobody is scoring you 0 or whatever. No. So you see, the child is encouraged, and from beginning, the child knows what to do. So examples of some of those crafts and skills: basket making, like we showed you in the picture, carpentry, welding, painting, sculptures, hunting and hunting tools, fishing and fishing tools, because anything that you're doing, you develop the tool for it. You don't wait for the white man to import the tool for you to sweep. If you want to sweep, you think in your head, okay, I want to sweep. What do I need to do? You go and develop from the nature, from where you are. We were discussing the other day, saying in those days, in Igbo women, if you want to cook, most of the time what we buy is just maybe meat and crayfish. Every other thing is in your locality. Onugbo is at the back of your house, and chiang is at the back of your house. Pepper is there, oil is there. Everything is locally produced. The economy is local because problem is local, and then the people produce this solution to the problem, and it's local. We're not waiting for one white monster to come and solve a problem for us. We solve our problems ourselves. So there's this thing we call handiwork when we're in primary school. Children, we are made to create and submit craft works, in schools for marks. And it encourages, there's that competition. This one will come. You see, when they're doing, some children will not sleep at night. They will be like, I need to finish up my homework. Oh my God, tomorrow I'm submitting it. They need, target there. Everybody's working hard. And when you're coming, if you have made your own very, very beautiful, you're looking so proud, for doing a good work.
The teachers will buy it from you, sir.
Yes, teachers will buy it from you. Your mates will say, like, what? This is so good. This is so good. And at the end of the year, they will sell everything to local markets, and then use the proceeds to do school end of year school parties. Some will, like you said, sell the remaining ones to their teachers, to people that children will begin to make money as early as possible. You won't see children running around to steal somebody's phone because they don't have money, or steal bread or whatever. No, in our culture, from childhood, you begin to, you learn to survive. You learn that this is what I need to do, and you have the skills. It's not like you don't have the skills. You have the skills.
People textbook colonial masters now, God.
I'm telling you. So you say the child early start go. That's why they say, Igbo people, they love money. I'm sure you hate money. The thing is that we create wealth as Igbo people. We create wealth for everything in our environment. We create wealth because anything that can solve human problem is a potential for wealth creation.
Absolutely.
It's a need. If you meet a need, then somebody will pay you for meeting that need. It's as simple as that. That's the way we think. That's how it is in our mind. That's where we see things. That's our worldview. So thank you so much. We're done.
My dear, I love my ancestors. My wonderful ancestors. Please help us to share. They actually blocked everything that we're doing today. They don't want this to go around there. We are not relenting. So help us to share this news. Just for reminder purposes.
You're restricted for 1 hour. You say you're restricted for 1 hour.
Yes, that's when the more 24 hours.
For sharing.
He said I'm reserved for 24 hours for sharing. So that's okay. So thank you, brothers and sisters. If you want to come and talk about your ancestors, please let us know. Just, get with us before Saturday and, bring your PowerPoint, and then we can put it in our PowerPoint. But you can come up and present on your ancestors. So we love for our children to hear their ancestors were not slave sellers. They didn't go and hang out and be handing over their children to white people. No, they were made to do it. Even though there were some criminal elements that helped them to propagate that role. Our brother Obi
Yes.
Oma, he says one day Daughters of Truth will take up false consciousness as a topic. Yes, we'll definitely look at that because we recognize that our people are suffering from it, and their lack of ability to tell the truth and understand the truth, even in their midst of church going and their religious, rhetoric, they still can't handle the truth. They can't. They don't want to hear the truth. They want everybody to continue to be in that, blindfolding, I don't know what to call it, incident that they are creating everywhere. So until next week, our sisters are on Clubhouse for their show. So if you have the time, you can hop on. Thank you so much for joining us. Help us to continue to share. We shall see you guys next weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.